I am going to bring in the reference image. This is actually the last frame of the original shot. I won't change anything else in the camera for now. Starting with the block out here using cube. Just placing the cubes roughly according to the reference image. Now here, going to put keyframes in the camera, just for a rough animation right now. Now, this is the first frame of the original shot from the movie. And I will add in more cubes and align the rest. Here trying to refine the animation now. So here I brought in these rocks from Botanic add-on. Going to replace the block-out shapes with these, more detailed rocks. And just place them, roughly matching the reference. And I will change the material of the rock. The rock texture is just 2 Megascans materials combined. Experimenting with the lighting here. I experimented with the rock texture bit more.
Just get by in life before we die. I only live a single time, no chances to revive. Days will slip away sometimes.
Here I brought in grass to scatter on the rocks.
Only I can make up my mind and override the fight.
changing the texture to my liking. Now here I am going to make the roots. I am using curves together with geometry nodes. And yeah, the geometry node is not from me. I learned from Sweeper 3D tutorial. I am not a geometry node person. And I did them all manually. I put in a simple bark texture on the roots. Now I am making the floating rock. It's really simple, as you can see. Gonna do some sculpting. The texture will do the heavy lifting. Now putting in the texture. This texture I extracted from a real cliff in Thailand. This is not a PBR texture. I generated the other maps using the image. I used a free program called Materialize. Very simple to use. I will link a video about it. I will bring the rock in our main scene and then start to scatter trees on it. Experimenting with the seed. Also for the lighting I am using an overcast HDRI from Polyhaven together with the sun. Now the other rock. Same process. Applying the same texture. Now gonna do the big rock. It's the same process, just not gonna scatter anything on this. For this big mountain at the back, I made a cutout of some mountain in Photoshop and brought that in Blender as image as planes. So now, I will render out all the necessary things, one by one, separately, so that we can take them in Photoshop and add some paint overs. Make sure to keep your things organized here in collections. It will be easy when rendering out different elements. Also make sure to check and turn on the indirect only option for the objects, other than the one you are about to render, as they will affect the lighting on the object being rendered. You can check any tutorial on YouTube about what it actually does to get a better understanding. I will render these two floating rocks separately. And also, you have to render just a single frame. And you have to choose that frame where the whole object is visible in the camera. Here for these rocks, they are fully visible in the last frame, that is 160. So I will render that. This is just to add paint overs, and this will be used for projection inside Nuke. Just save them as PNG. I am using PNG, you can use any other format which has transparency info. Don't use JPG. Okay, so now, I will render that big rock in the background. And you can notice that even in the last frame, it's not visible fully. It is kinda in a complicated place, where it is half visible. So for this, what I am going to do is take our main camera and duplicate that. Remove all the animations and constraints. And select that camera, and make it the active camera for now. And just rotate it, so that the rock is almost fully visible. And we will render this out, and I will disable the small rocks below that, as I want them to be separate. Save this as a PNG. And now these rocks. As you can see, they are fully visible in the first frame. So I will render the first frame. And now in Photoshop, let's add more details. And save it as a PNG. Bring in the other rock, and again the same process. Now the big rock. Same thing again. Now these small rocks. Now before going into Nuke, we have to export the meshes as OBJ so that we can project our paint over images on them. And only export 3D mesh of those elements, which have some depth and some angle to them in our shot. For the rest, we can use cards, which are already present in Nuke. We just need to plug in the image we got from Photoshop. Cards are equal to plane in Blender. Also, we need to export our main camera, which have the animation. And we need to export another few cameras, which are going to be used for projections. So these two right floating rocks, we need to export the camera from last frame. And all these camera will be exported as an Alembic file. Then, for the big rock, we made a custom camera. I hope you remember. So we need to export that too. For the rest of the things, we are using cards. So we don't need to export anything for them. Also, I could have used the card for the big rock, as it is far away, but in the end, I went with the 3D projection method for it. Okay, so before going into Nuke, and I will say I am not an expert in Nuke. I just started learning recently, so I won't be able to explain what actually each node does, but still I will try my best and also put links to the videos describing about what the node does. So let's dive in Nuke. Here this thing looks complex, but it's not. They are just our renders and paintovers from Photoshop, and yeah, I haven't organized them here in Nuke, but nevertheless, I organized them starting from background to midground to foreground. Also, if you press S while in the node graph, project settings will open, and here you can set the format, and FPS, and also frame range. This is 160 frames long, so I put that in. If you have some custom format, then it will appear down here somewhere. You have to drag and drop your images, cameras, OBJ files into Nuke. So here are all the images we need, except the foreground rocks, which are closest to the camera. I rendered them in Blender straight away. This is the background. I made the mountains using Lasso tool and combined different images. Let me show you.
We lose ourselves in the spirit of things. We lose our sight when we put our trust in things of this material world, of things that fade away. Yet we keep coming back, 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 keep coming back. Of things we know. Spirit of things, we lose our sight when we put our trust in things of this material world, of things that fade away.
So I saved them and brought them into Nuke, drag and drop all of them. In the node graph, tab is the shortcut for bringing in nodes. So inside Nuke, for these kind of matte painting and projection shots, we need a few nodes always. A project 3D node, if the object is projected on a 3D geometry. Second, a scene node. This is, we can say, is a hub for all the projections which goes into our scene. And a scanline render node. And in the end a write node to render output. Sometimes we also need merge node. In my case, I only needed that one time. I select the background image, and pressing tab, I bring in a card and plug it to the scene node. Then, bring scanline render node. And it has 3 arrows, one is cam in which our main animation cam goes in. Then an object/scene. Here the scene node plugs in. And this is our main animation camera. Let me make it a bit easy. I will select all the nodes other than background, and press D key, which disables the nodes. D key is for disable and enable nodes. So now, if I click on the Viewer tab with middle mouse, we can pan, and now here, if you press tab, you will go into 3D. Here, scrolling will zoom in and out, and middle mouse to pan, and Alt plus right click to orbit. Here you can see your card and the image on it. So you just need to scale and move and align it according to the camera. Double-click the card and go into its properties. Here you can scale and move the card and rotate. You can also do that in 3D view, obviously. Now that we set up the background, let's move to others. Here, for the small rocks, we are using a node called Premult. This is used whenever there's transparency in our image. I will link a video which explains what it does. So again, we plug that in the card and place the card accordingly. Now here we see something different. This is the big rock, and I used 3D projection on this. So that's why we need a Project 3D node here. And remember the camera we exported, just a single frame which showed this whole rock. That will be used here. In Project 3D node, there's a slot for camera. We plug that camera here. And then, we bring in the 3D mesh we exported from Blender as OBJ for this rock. Just drag and drop it here. And it will come as a Regeo node automatically. Plug that in the Scene node. Here it is in 3D. In the Project 3D node you need to check these. Make this project onto front, otherwise it will project by default on both sides, which creates some weird issues. And also occlusion mode to self. I don't know what it does actually, but it removes some duplications. I accidentally found it. Now for this big mountain, I exported the whole plane from Blender, and again just drag and drop. It will come as a Regeo node. These are cloud cards I painted in Photoshop, using Cloud Brush. Then placed them according to the scene. Now, these two floating rocks are same just like this. The same method. Plug the images to Premult. Then use Project 3D node, and as they both are sharing the same frame 160 camera. We can plug it into the cam slot, and then bring the 3D mesh in and plug them into the scene. And that's how it looks. Now we bring in the foreground rocks. This is an image sequence, and again Premult node, and here we bring in the merge node, and it has two slots and it works like A/B formula. So it goes after the scanline render. As we want the FG rocks to appear in front, we plug A in it and B will go with scanline render node. After this, you can render this out and add your effects and color correction in other program, or you can do it inside Nuke too. But for color correction, I am more comfortable in other program. So in the end I put the right node, and in it you can go in the file, and there you put the path, where you want to save it, and whatever name you give it, just make sure to put an underscore and ### dot whatever format you want, and just hit render. After this, I brought that into DaVinci, and did very basic color correction. However, it needed nothing out of the box to be honest. And the same method goes into the other shot. Hope you found this helpful. Thanks for watching. If you face any issue in this, you can message me. I will gladly help.